Hello and welcome to the Tournament Center here at Pro Tour Battle for Zendikar in Milwaukee. I'm Brian David Marshall, and I am joined by two gentlemen who between them average 11 Pro Tour appearances apiece. 21 for Christian Calcano, and this is the first one for Oliver Tomajko. Welcome to the Tournament Center, guys. We're here to talk about the deck that everyone's been buzzing about. About how many messages did you get last night, Calcano?
Like 30 or 40, like on Facebook, on Twitter, like everyone's been asking me about it. I told them they had to wait for this, so here we are.
So if people are going to play in states or doing other stuff, say sorry, buddy.
Yeah.
All right, so talk to me about this deck, Blue-Black Aristocrats. How did you guys end up at this deck for this Pro Tour?
Yeah, well, you know, like I said last night, Tommy Ashton and Pascal Maynard, they're the ones who like brewed it up at first, and then they started toying around with it, and they're like, oh, this deck seems pretty sweet. Let's test it against the red deck. Does it beat the red deck? Oh, it's beating the red deck. Does it beat Jeskai? Oh, it's beating Jeskai. All right, green white. All right, wow, this deck is awesome. So then everyone like you start hearing the buzz in our hotel room, like, oh, there's this blue black deck. I'm like, oh, I can't wait to see it. And I see all the games in action. I'm just like, wow, this deck's crazy. So yeah, in our testing at the beginning, it was doing well against the top three decks that we expected, which ended up being the top three decks. So that's how I locked in on it.
Okay, Oliver, let's take a look at the deck. Let's take a look at some of the cards in here. Oliver, talk to us about Nantuko Husk. How are we killing people with a Nantuko Husk?
All right, so Nantuko Husk, it doesn't look great. It's a 3-mana 2/2, but I mean, most of our creatures don't look very good. And Nantuko Husk is part of the main combo of the deck, which is Husk plus Whirler Rogue. You can make it.
Let's take a look at some of the more cards that he's mentioning. Whirler Rogue, Zulaport Cutthroat, and Liliana.
Yeah, so with Whirler Rogue, you can make the Husk unblockable and then sack everything, including the Whirler Rogue and the two Thopters, and then hit them for a lot of damage.
So right there, that's just 8 damage, unblockable by itself with nothing else going on the board. But we've seen you do 10, 12 damage.
Yeah.
And talk to us a little bit, Christian, about how Liliana, Heretical Healer, works so well with this deck.
I mean, this card is just unbelievable in this deck. Like, there's like so many different interactions because you have Sidisi's Faithful to trigger it. You can play Hangerback on 0 to trigger it.
Oh wow, that's very sweet.
Yeah, and then Nantuko Husk, sacrifice a creature, trigger it. It's funny. One of the ways we described it in testing was that with Sidisi's Faithful, Liliana is basically like a Jace the Mind Sculptor -1.
Yeah. And what happens on the other side when you transform the Liliana? So you get a creature. That's one thing, but what else happens?
Yeah, well, that's the great thing. It starts on 3, and we have like a great amount of 2-drops that we can just right there on the spot -2 and bring back a Cutthroat, or -2 and bring back a Sultai Emissary, which is just, it's been like one of the most like amazing cards in the deck. Or you could just +2 and make them discard, and then the following turn you could even bring back a Whirler Rogue because it's on 5.
Okay, Oliver, Zulaport Cutthroat. When Cartel Aristocrats won a Pro Tour, I don't even know, you were just starting to play
that was
Magic right around
Gate
Gatecrash.
Crash. Yep.
So talk to us about Zulaport Cutthroat.
So Zulaport is like the main new card for the spell base in the deck, and it serves as a nice way to gain life, which is something pretty important in the deck, because besides that, we only really have Liliana to gain life. So Zulaport allows for like combo kills with Husk, and it just also is a very strong creature. But when your creatures are dying, you're draining them, gaining life. It just adds a lot of pressure. So
that's just sort of like a little like 4 or 5 damage extra you can do on top of whatever Nantuko Husk damage.
It buffs all your creatures that are not very great on their own, but because they all get like more creatures when they die, this just gets a lot of value.
Let's look at some of those creatures not so great on their own. Bloodsoaked Champion, Sidisi's Faithful, Sultai Emissary. We won't say that about Hangerback Walker because it's pretty great. Talk about this suite of creatures, Christian.
Yeah, Bloodsoaked Champion is obviously great. He's
Is
aggressive.
it obviously great? I mean, because we haven't seen a lot of it in constructed play.
Sure. Well, no, the reason why it's obviously great is because I remember when we first were playing the deck, and one of them like attacks with it, and they have like 5 or 6 mana, and I was like, okay, I'll make my Husk unblockable, attack with the Husk, sack Bloodsoul Champion, pay 2, sack Bloodsoul Champion, pay 2, sack Bloodsoul Champion. I was like, oh wow, this you can do this like whenever you want. They're like, yeah, because I thought originally you got to cast it from your graveyard.
You're talking about the raid ability.
Yeah, I thought it was you cast it, and I was like, all right, that's fine. But no, it's like it's an activated ability, just bring it back at any point. So that's like one of the best interactions with the champion.
So as long as raid is active, you can just do that as often as you
multiple
like.
times, yeah.
Sidisi's Faithful 4. Why is that card? Why are there 4 of that card in the deck?
Yeah, so Faithful, it might not look great. Again, not a very good body, but it's probably one of the most important cards in the deck, and it's a good reason to play blue, besides the Whirler Rogue. And like, probably the most powerful interaction in the deck is playing Lily on 4 and then playing Faithful, sacking the Faithful, bouncing something, flipping Lily, and then bringing back Faithful.
Yep.
And it's just basically -1 Jace.
Yeah.
And it's just really good against all the big green creatures. You can just, like, your little creatures get to get in and get value.
Hangerback Walker really shines, obviously, with Nantuko Husk. Let's take a look at some more of the cards in the blue-black Aristocrats deck. Got 4 Murderous Cut and 1 Vampiric Rites. That's kind of a fun card. What point did that come into the deck?
Honestly, like we just wanted a card that was like good versus Jeskai and Control, and you know it's just another sack outlet. It lets us get in a position where we can start getting card advantage, like sacrificing an emissary or just another way to sacrifice to kill them with Cutthroat and such. So I thought it was a pretty nice draw engine.
All right, let's take a look at some more of the cards in here. Really, this is now how do we make this mana work? And it's going to be the fetch land, battle land combo, or is there not battle lands in this deck?
There are.
Yeah, there's 3 Sunken Hollows in the deck.
Okay.
We figured out that 4 was probably too many.
So 4 Bloodstained Mire, 4 Polluted Delta, 2 Flooded Strand, 1 Foundry for more Thopters.
Yeah.
And then let's take a look. They have 3 Sunken Hollow and then 9 basics, which feels like a lot in this standard format.
Sure, yeah, but that's the thing, you want to have like 2 basics on the first 2 turns, so then you can just fetch for a Sunken Hollow on the consecutive turns and then play like a Whirler Rogue or something. So
you really need to curve out. So like, if you played a bunch of tap lands, like going 1, 2, 3, 4, probably won't happen as much. But because we have so many basics, we can just go basic, and then Sunken Hollow, Sunken Hollow.
Okay, how can you win with this deck if you don't get an Nantuko Husk? If all your husks are just kind of hiding at the bottom of your deck, what happens?
Well, I mean, you can get into certain board situations where you have like multiple Cutthroats, you draw multiple Whirler Rogues, but honestly, like Liliana is probably the most important card in the deck, like after Nantuko Husk. As amazing as the combo is, Liliana really is what makes the deck work.
Yeah, Lily is really good. That's if you don't draw Husk or Lily, it can be hard to win, but I mean that's 8 cards.
You still get to kill him with a Hangerback Walker, then, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so you're 5-1 with the deck. You're 4-2 with the deck thus far. You guys still feel good going deep into day 2?
Yeah, I feel great.
Okay, well, why don't you guys get out there and get to it? We're going to let you get back to standard. For Oliver Tomajko and Christian Calcano, this is Brian David Marshall from the Tournament Center.